What if you could access any emotion at the push of a button? That is exactly how NLP's anchoring tool works. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to access any state you desire: confidence, happiness, abundance, joy, by simply pressing a button on your body. Your subconscious mind and your nervous system is constantly creating anchors, whether or not you're conscious to it. So today, in episode 7 of my Neuro-Linguistic Programming series, I'm going to show you how to take the wheel and be the anchorer of the emotions and the states that you choose. Anchoring was greatly inspired by Ivan Pavlov's experimenting in something called classical conditioning. In Ivan Pavlov's experiment with dogs, he rang a bell every single time they came to eat their food. He did this so many times that eventually the stimulus of ringing the bell reminded the dogs of food and even made them salivate. He was linking the sound of the bell to the knowing that food's coming and the feeling of hunger. And your nervous system and subconscious mind does this too. You might have had this experience when a certain song comes on and it reminds you of something or brings you back to a moment. Or a certain scent that triggers a memory. Or maybe it's every time your alarm rings, it triggers stress or anxiety. Positive and negative anchors can be created, and they can be created unconsciously. Anytime there's a strong emotion involved and an external stimulus, we can create an anchor. Think about any time that you were feeling upset or you were crying and you received a hug from a caregiver. Unconsciously, that caregiver, through that touch, by anchoring in that strong emotion while you were upset, could create an anchor for you feeling sad or upset anytime you receive a hug. And that's sometimes why people are really resistant or uncomfortable when it comes to hugs, because they have a subconscious anchor that brings up a strong, unpleasant emotion whenever a hug happens. So by becoming conscious to NLP's anchoring tool, we can start to identify where our triggers and our unconscious anchors exist and start to specifically consciously anchor in the ones we desire. So let's talk about the neuroscience that backs this up. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you pair a gesture with a strong emotion, you create a connection, just like that hug. And if you do it enough, the gesture alone can trigger the feeling. And something really interesting is that the amygdala does not judge, it simply stores. Your amygdala tags emotional moments, whether they were moments of joy or moments of trauma or stress. It takes those big emotions and locks them into your nervous system. That's why even something neutral, like a sound, can trigger really strong emotions at really strange times. You might think, I had a really big reaction just now, and not realize that something triggered that anchor from something really emotional that happened in the past. And dopamine rewards and reinforces anytime you experience a really strong emotion, whether that emotion is fear or panic or stress or worry or joy, abundance. It doesn't judge. It just reinforces. And dopamine shows up anytime we experience an emotionally charged moment. If something feels really intense, your subconscious mind and nervous system flag that as important. And dopamine floods the system. And so it links your reward system to that trigger. And that's how the anchor continues to get stronger and stronger over time. And dare I say, it's almost even addicting to continually experience that strong emotion, whether it's bad or good. So anchors aren't always consciously chosen, but we can always heal old triggers and anchors and create new ones. So if we can create a negative anchor over time, we can also create a positive anchor over time. We can start to override the old neurons and create new neural pathways that are associated to the feelings we want, like joy, abundance, happiness, peace, and bliss. One of the most common unconscious anchors that I hear of are Mondays. Have you ever noticed that Mondays feel exhausting or full of anxiety before they even start? That is the epitome of an unconscious anchor at work. Every Sunday night, you might have a routine or a ritual that unconsciously is tying you to the emotion of fear or anxiety or dread. Maybe it's setting your alarm, making your lunch the next day. Sunday night triggers anxiety. Then the repeated dread, the feeling of dread on that Monday morning anchors it in until eventually even the word Monday or your alarm triggers the feeling of stress, anxiety, or dread. That is Ivan Pavlov's classical conditioning at work, or also NLP's anchoring. Another more drastic example could be a car accident. If someone's been in a car accident, the sound of the screeching tires, maybe a car honking their horn, and the feeling, the intensity, the fear, the moment before the impact. That is a major external stimulus connected with a major internal feeling. And so oftentimes, even after physically healing from physical trauma, in the future, the emotional trauma still exists because it's anchored into the nervous system. So whenever you hear the sound of a car honking or the sound of screeching tires, or even being in the car itself can trigger and anchor and bring up those emotions that you had during that experience. But the beautiful thing about NLP is that those associations can be healed and retrained. And so today I'm going to guide you through creating an anchor for abundance. And you can do this with any state or emotion you desire. This will work instantly for you in being able to access that emotion, but you want to every day come back to creating this anchor and do it with repetition so that it becomes a really strong neural pathway so that the neurons that fire together wire together, and this becomes your natural normal state. And that can override any of those negative patterns you may have already unconsciously created. So if you're ready to create this anchor now, let's do it together. Maybe you need to pause this video and come back at a better time, because I am going to ask you to close your eyes and get really comfortable. So go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And just wherever you're sitting down, just get really comfortable. Feel your back against the pillows. Feel your spine on the floor. If you're on the floor, just feel whatever is holding you really strong and allow your body to melt down, melting in, and just breathing naturally now. I want you to think of a time when you felt truly abundant. Maybe it was a moment of deep gratitude, love, connection, or overflow. I want you to let that memory rise, feel it in your body, and I want you to go ahead and float off into that moment. So you're floating above the moment, looking down. Now go ahead and drop down into your body so you're seeing that moment through your own eyes. What do you see? What do you feel? And what do you hear? Now, in a few moments, we're going to expand upon this feeling, but first I want you to choose your anchor. So choosing, it can be your thumb to your ring finger, maybe your thumb to your forefinger. Choosing a button now and getting really present to that moment where you felt truly abundant. Maybe you saw signs of abundance in nature. Maybe it was a time that you were feeling financially abundant. Being really present to that time now. And where in your body do you feel that sensation of abundance? Feel it now. Does abundance have a color? If yes, make the color bigger and brighter. And see it like a knob where you can just turn up the brightness of the feeling of abundance. You can turn up the feeling. And what does abundance sound like? Turn up the sound of abundance. Make it louder, as loud as you can. Keep amplifying. Keep turning up the dial on how you feel when you feel abundant, on what you hear, on the colors that you see. Turn them up, make it brighter. Make it so big and so bright. And I'm going to count from 3. With every number, I want you to turn it up, make it bigger, make the feeling bigger, and then press your button. 3, 2, 1, anchor. Keep making those sounds bigger. Holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I want you to come back to this anchor every day or as many times as you can each day. And in this way, you're starting to teach your nervous system what abundance feels like, and you're creating new neural pathways. You're creating those neurons that are firing and wiring together in a state of abundance until feeling abundance is just a natural part of every day for you. It just becomes who you are. And this is so much deeper than creating those affirmations or journaling mantras, because we've just anchored this into your nervous system, into your subconscious mind. And so instead of just saying, I feel abundant, you actually feel abundant and keep creating that anchor to abundance. So here's the thing. Your subconscious mind and your nervous system are constantly creating anchors. I want you to start to notice whether or not you are the one consciously choosing the anchor. And once you start noticing your anchors or your triggers, you can start to transform and rewire them. From Monday dread to Monday hope, from feeling resentful to feeling abundant, from feeling scarcity to feeling gratitude. In the next video, we're going to create an anchor for gratitude. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified when the next video comes out so that we can create that anchor for gratitude together. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.